Surprise, motherfucker! What's up? This is your friendly neighborhood Venger Satanis. And I'm here today to talk about initiative. I'm going to switch the camera angle around in just a minute. So what I'm doing with Encounter Critical 3 is I'm creating sort of an alternate universe version of, I guess, Crimson Dragon Slayer, because that's just the name I have for my own personal hacks and house rules of D&D. And I like to mix a lot of old school and new school, techniques and aspects together. But I want Encounter Critical 3 to be something different that I use to run Chult. I still want it to be rules light, and I still want it to have the same vibe and energy. It needs to be everything that Chult is. Eldritch, gonzo, science fantasy, post-apocalyptic, humor, pop culture references, sleaze, all that good stuff. But I've been doing the same thing over and over again, with great results for several years. Like Crimson Dragon Slayer has had a few different iterations. It started out with like a D6 dice pool, and then it just went to D20 because that was just easier for everybody to kind of glom onto conceptually. But you get bored of the same thing, even if the same thing is working beautifully for 5, 6, 7 years. After a while, even if it's suboptimal in some cases, you just want to do something different. And I want to keep with Chult. I don't want to stop using Chult because Chult is like my home world, my home campaign that I want to keep living in and keep using and keep enriching, keep alive. But I just want to try something new with the rule set. So I wanted to have a lot of Crimson Dragon Slayer elements, but I want it just to be, I want to branch out and do different things. Anyway, this is kind of an initiative system that I'm toying with. I read an Angry GM blog post. I'll put a link in the description below because credit where credit's due. He basically uses a lot of stuff that I was doing in like 3rd edition and 3.5. But I've got like a couple of tweaks of stuff that kind of grew organically when I was running 5th edition when it first came out for people, and then I was getting more and more into my own version of 5th edition or old school OSR, 05R, what have you. Okay, so let's say you have a table of 6 players. Okay, this is just a piece of paper and a pen in front of you. Okay, so let's say we'll keep this simple, and we'll use the example I used in my last video, just a band of orcs. For whatever reason, diplomacy is broken down, and one side said something, the other side reciprocated, and now it's time for battle. Okay, so we have 6 players, as I just mentioned. Okay, so what I would do is I would roll a d8, and okay, you can do this ahead of time. You don't need to, but just for simplicity's sake and visualization's sake. Okay, so I rolled a 7. You can see that there. Okay, 7, that's where the orcs are going to go. And then here's the interesting part, or one of them. You ask the people at the table, like, okay, who wants to go first? Because I know as the GM, many times I've noticed that the person who wins the initiative roll is not always the person that wants to or is capable of going first in a timely manner. And why punish the people that want to go first? Because what I used to do with initiative when we were all at a table, I would either, if it was a smaller group, I would be like, well, who wants to go first? And I would do that each round. But now it makes more sense to, and I'll get to this in a minute, to stabilize the initiative order throughout the combat. So yeah, I would ask, like, who wants to go first? Okay, so, okay, Sally wants to go first with her character, Anodyne. And Bobby wants to go second with Christofferson, and Jeff wants to go third with Baba Ganoush, I don't know, and etc. And then, since you only have 6 players, last would be the orcs. And then as the game master, because you have it in front of you, like, okay, new round, or let's just say the first round. Okay, Anodyne, you step up to the orcs that look like they're about to charge you, and you go in melee with your sword out, slashing. Roll a d20 for me. And then she does, and she gets a 15, and then, you describe stuff, and you go down. Then the orcs go. And then, next round, you're all ready, and you have it right here. And presumably the person that wanted to act first the first round is also capable and wants to act first in the second round. And then, because what it is, one of the important things, which the Angry GM was talking about in this blog post, was that, I lost my train of thought. Let's see. So, that's right. So you want to go between mechanics and a narrative. As the game master, you want to sort of narrate the proceedings and what's happening during the combat. So, and that's easy to do when you have it right in front of you, because it breaks immersion and it breaks the flow of the narrative when you have to call out, like, okay, who's going next? Or even if you have an initiative tracker, which I used to have as well. Like, okay, Bobby, who's next on the initiative order? So you have it right here in front of you, and then you just keep going down the line, and then, and this is similar to what we did, with like 3rd edition, 3.5. And you might be like, okay, there's like 5 of them, and they each have like 10 hit points, and one just gets wounded for like 6 damage, so they got like 4 left. So you could just do like little things like that, which works out good. And then you just keep going in order. And so let's say instead of rolling a 7, I'd rolled a 4, and so the orcs would go here, and then the other characters that wanted to go after these guys, you just write them in after whatever you rolled for the orcs. So they would go like bang, bang, and maybe his NPC scroll caddy or something like that. And there you go. That's pretty much it. If you only had 4 players at your table, you would just, instead of a D8, you would roll a D6. And obviously, if you roll a 1 for the monsters, they would go first. And then if you rolled a 6, they would go last. And if you rolled somewhere between, then they would go in between people. Let me know what you think of this. I think that's kind of a hybrid of a couple different styles, both in their own way, optimal depending on your preferences. And I think this is kind of like a good mix. So but I would like to hear from you obviously. But this is probably how Encounter Critical 3 is going to go. I'll probably write it up like that and give some examples. So, because that's how I want to do it. And that's one of the reasons that I come up with these rule sets and these role-playing games in the first place, is because I want to run a game a certain way. I want the players to know ahead of time a little bit, or even after a couple sessions, like what I'm doing, like what my preferences are, what my personal style is like. So if they like that, then they can come join me and gravitate towards the things that I'm doing. And if they don't like that, then they can choose a different table and a different GM, different game. Okay, that's it for now. Yeah, let me know. Comments, like, subscribe. Also on my blog at Venger's Game Blog, I'll also put a link down in the description below for that. I've got prices for hardcover Chult books. You got Chult Fuchsia Malaise, Chult Chartreuse Shadows. There's a bunch of reviews if you want to see them. All over the place, on blogs and on YouTube. So, yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, if you like the kind of Eldritch Gonzo, science fantasy, post-apocalyptic campaign setting with mega dungeons and adventures and optional rules, and each one comes with a version of Crimson Dragon Slayer D20 and other stuff. I try to include as much as I can in these books. I try to make them look as awesome as they can, given the money that I have to work with, and I'm very proud of them. A lot of people love them, and yeah, but every person has their own opinion. Reviewers like certain things, don't like certain things. Some people like everything about them. Some people just like a few things. So, you be the judge. You can always look at the reviews. As I said, there's a lot of flip-through reviews. The PDFs are on Drive-Thru RPG. Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. Bye.